How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper, and my goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Arbitrum and Azuki joined forces to create anime blockchain called Anime Chain. The platform aims to leverage Azuki's building anime ecosystem, along with Arbitron's whopping 4.3 billion market cap, fast speed, and hundreds of dApps. They want to create productions, games, and physical products that will showcase the power of decentralized modeling for growing intellectual property on Anime Chain, and they also want to use this to help increase engagement at every touch point in the anime experience. So this is a way to help that, and we have seen it able to increase that ability over the last few years. UK regulator cracks down on meme coins and crypto influencers. So, Britain's Financial Conduct Authority said Tuesday that the advice must be fair, clear, and not misleading. Promotions aren't just about likes, they're about the law. The FCA's Director of Consumer Investments, Larry Castine, I think that's how you say it, said in a statement, they will take action for those touting financial products illegally. So, pretty much if you're touting products that you like touting meme coins and there's nothing behind the meme coin and it's just a rug pull, those are the kind of people they want to go after. Fidelity registers for spot Ethereum ETF, so this is positive. We also saw BlackRock make some comments about Ethereum ETFs today, but they just said that even if it's a security, we should be fine. Notably, the filing featured an opinion to stake a portion of the fund's assets. According to the S1 filing, the ETF would be available for trading on the Kobe exchange. Fidelity's asset division would hold the holdings. However, there is no partner specified for who the staking would be through. Staking in the Ethereum structure introduces additional risks, which are also outlined in the application. According to Fidelity's registration statement, current regulatory measures in the US and elsewhere may adversely impact the fund's status. They also say that the 1940 Act says that mutual funds are required to limit leverage and maintain sufficient cash reserves to accommodate investors wishing to sell their shares. This presents a risk for Fidelity in that it could encompass potential losses for the firm's proposed Ethereum ETF by slashing penalties and liquidity risks within the staking process. So they probably won't get much out of staking if they are limited too much in how much they can stake. Over on the Dixie for the daily, we did push forward. We tried to hit toward this resistance area, but we are kind of struggling. Much like the rest of the market, Bitcoin and all of our crypto, we saw a little bit of a sell-off. We were hinting at that yesterday. We had a bullish possibility for Bitcoin, but if you were in our Discord, you would have gotten the notice that we were decreasing that possibility, and we did end up invalidating it like we warned in that Discord. Our indicators we are using are Market Cipher B edits and Market Cipher A free version 1.1. These are great tools. They're free within TradingView, just like this information. So make sure you smash that like, hit the subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Your EMA opacity will be 70%. The following colors. Your inputs will be as following. Again, if there's anything we don't cover that you would like to know, visit our Mastering the Trade series. Your Market Cipher B, blue wave, make it blue instead of purple. And then I believe everything else is the same, but we do cover more on that in the Mastering the Trade, as it is more of a complex indicator, and it'll be hard to cover every little facet of it every night. Our stochastic does want to drop away. We do have our orange above blue. If that orange stays above blue on this double blue line, or double line here, we will see it start to pull back. Our RSI is starting to flatten out, so if our stochastic starts to push down, our RSI could start to weaken if that remains more toward that bearish territory. So I would watch. Remember, you don't get a straight break. Your stochastic typically drops, RSI will go flat, then RSI will push if that stochastic remains in that bearish territory. So remember, those two trade above, they trade together. When they're above 30, they're bullish, meaning we can go forward. When they're below 30, they're bearish, meaning we could drop down. Our other parts of this Market Cipher B are our VWAP, this yellow wave, momentum, the blue wave, and our money flow, which is currently green, but it can be red if it's bearish. Green means it's bullish. This has a neutral area of 0. These three, if our VWAP pulls back and continues lower highs with lower lows, and we see it break this neutral, our momentum likely will push away, roll over, and that will weaken our money flow. So our VWAP is the lower time frame of these three, then the momentum's more the medium selling buying pressure, and then as that medium time buying and selling pressure changes, that influences the money flow, and the money flow, if it becomes more bearish and sustains bearish pressure, typically brings price lower. If we see the Dixie drop lower, that will typically be positive for the crypto market, as we would see the crypto market continue forward. We did have a rounding bottom possibility, but we don't have a very strong green candle here for today. If we get a red candle tomorrow, that could start a sell-off that would attempt to push to the 103, attempt to reclaim that support area. If we break that 103, we likely would see a further slide. However, if we do get bounce off that 103, we could still push to our 104 gap. But remember, we have several older gaps below us, and it would be more ideal to fill those gaps sooner than later. But same thing could be said for Bitcoin futures. So over on the total, we are trying to push the support resistance area. We are trying to break. If we continue lower on our lower time frames, we will see this VWAP break down. So we will look at the lower time frames, as we could be making a double top here. Momentum does want to round, VWAP wants to round, so I would exercise caution. So a double top, so you get a rise, a drop, a rise, and then that's followed by another drop. That could be a pretty significant loss for the total, as I break through that gapped area or that manipulation zone for our Fibonacci retracement zone. Remember, we do cover that in the Mastering the Trade as well. That manipulation zone is the area where you can get very quick movements like we saw back here. But if we do end up breaking that, solidifying a double top, we hit this neckline and continue back down through that neckline. Remember, you want confirmation. That could bring us all the way down near our 331 support area. So I would exercise caution, as that would be a pretty brutal sell-off for altcoins. That would be about October area trading. So lows we haven't seen for several months. Over on Bitcoin for the daily here, we are trying to push above this point control. If we can stay above this point control and we break this resistance, that will be positive, but this could create a hammer candle. If followed by a strong red candle, we could break this point control, confirm bearish momentum, and then slide away, as this would technically be our third touch to the top, where you typically get your break to the downside. VWAP does want to round, exercise caution. Money flow is starting to taper away, as that momentum is favoring more bearish. But if our VWAP can sustain bullish momentum, our momentum will push forward, and money flow could remain bullish and push us forward as well. Stochastic does want to round here, so exercise caution. If that stochastic starts to round, our RSI will lose strength and start to push down, and that will bring price action with it. But remember, that doesn't happen immediately. Over on this 4 hour, we are trying to trend lower. So we did wick up, try to get near that resistance area. Now we're pulling back. We are pushing forward in a response to our quick move down. So if we see further red candles from here, we're likely going to trade to the downside. We do have a bit of a rising channel that could be formed if we capture these wicks. This could be a bit of a rising channel. If you do pull it up here, that would capture those wicks as well. That'd be a freak breakout then. But a rising channel is more of a bearish pattern. That could end up pushing us right around that 53%. If we lose that 53%, that's likely where we're going to see further losses. Stochastic does have bearish divergence. RSI does want to push down. Momentum is rounding. VWAP's pushing into the bearish territory. And our money flow does want to weaken as well. If our VWAP maintains bearish momentum, our momentum will weaken and our money flow will start to push down. That will result in dominance slipping and possibly bringing Bitcoin lower with it. Over on our 2 hour, VWAP is making lower lows. If we confirm lower highs here, we will get bearish favor. That bearish favor could then end up bringing us lower, so I would exercise caution. Over on this 1 hour, we have a double manipulation X that could end up dropping us down pretty brutally if we do not push above this range. RSI is struggling. Stochastic does want to push forward. VWAP is creating a new bullish trend. If this new bullish trend can continue, that will be positive for dominance, that will help push us forward, that will give us the possibility to break away from this flag. However, if we get rejected and pull back, we likely will see the bears gain control still. Over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we could be pulling back. We are trying to hold our support level. If we can confirm a green candle and push forward, we will attempt to make that 75k push we had on Bitcoin. However, if we lose our 69k, we are likely going to push below our value area high and then continue lower toward our point of control, which would be around our 52k. We do have these other support areas in between there, so I would watch for any kind of hang up in those areas. VWAP does want to pull back, stochastic is rounding away, RSI does want to go flat, so if our stochastic pulls back here, RSI likely will start to weaken at this point. Money flow does want to pull back, so if that VWAP pulls back into the bearish territory and momentum falls bearish, we will see that our money flow start to break away. Over on this 4 hour, we are trying to bounce off our support, so we are trying to make a flag here by consolidating. That would be a bullish case scenario that could push us forward. We did map that out the other day. Stochastic does want to come down, momentum wants to round away. RSI is overall starting to weaken, so I would watch our stochastic closely. If it continues to push down, RSI could start to slide, and price action would likely follow. This VWAP is getting lower lows, so if we get lower lows followed by lower highs here, we will see momentum continue to weaken, money flow will remain bearish, and we likely will see that push down, trying to hit this value area high. If we cannot bounce off that value area high, then that's where we're going to see those further losses, filling this gap, and then possibly push into our 61k if we can't meet support in that gap. Over on the 2 hour, we are trying to bounce here, so again, that could give us a flag possibility. RSI does want to push forward. VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is pushing down, and the money flow is starting to break down toward the bearish territory. If this VWAP continues to favor bearish here, momentum will continue down, money flow will continue to pull back, and then we will likely invalidate that bull flag possibility. RSI does want to pull back, stochastic wants to pull back, so again, watch our VWAP. If it does not create a new bullish trend, then the bears could gain control here. Over on our 1 hour, stochastic does want to push forward, but RSI is starting to round away. Watch if our stochastic gets rejected. If it does, RSI is likely going to pull back with it. VWAP is struggling to get higher highs. It does want to pull back. If our RSI confirms lower highs and then pulls back for consistent or lower lows, we could still have bearish favor. Momentum would then favor bearish, and we could see those higher time frames start to weaken. So again, exercise caution. Over on Bitcoin for the daily, RSI is starting to curl as our stochastic was favoring bearish, but now it wants to pick up bullish strength. If our stochastic can remain above 30, RSI will stay bullish. However, if our stochastic breaks here, RSI likely will follow. VWAP does want to round away, so watch our VWAP closely. If it breaks this neutral, we likely will see momentum pull back, and our money flow will start to weaken again. If that does happen, we likely will push away. We have invalidated this flag, but again, we did call that in the Discord, so if you were in that Discord, you would have seen that possibility. You could have gone out ahead of the drop. However, if you weren't in the Discord, you're probably wondering why we didn't get that break forward. We do have a long upper shadow candle here that did follow red candles, and we are trying to push down. But if we can solidify some strong green candles and break above this EMA, we likely will still push to our 74 channel right in this EMA band, or this Fibonacci band, sorry. If we do not push toward that Fibonacci 74, then it's very likely we will reject our EMA and then push lower toward that 63. Remember, if futures pushes down, Bitcoin likely will push down with it. RSI does want to weaken, momentum is pulling back, stochastic's pulling back, and our VWAP is favoring bearish. If the VWAP continues to favor bearish, we likely will see that 4 hours start to break down. Over on this 2 hour, we are losing strength. RSI is weakening, money flow is flat, VWAP is pretty flat. We are favoring bearish with lower lows. We do want to push back toward the bullish territory. If we reject and we do not make that cross, we will have a lower high. with these lower lows. If we follow it with a continued low, then the bears could regain control of the lower time frames, push them down, and start to weaken those higher time frames. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic does want to round. RSI is starting to taper off. VWAP is pushing forward. Momentum is gaining strength. And the money flow does want to gain some bullish strength. But if our VWAP pulls back, momentum will start to taper off again. And that money flow will snap back toward the bearish territory. So watch this area very close. We are struggling to break these EMA bands where we keep getting rejected from. If we reject these EMA bands, we likely will push toward this 300 EMA, and if we cannot bounce off that 300 EMA, that's likely where we will get those further losses. Over on graph of the daily, we could be trying to make a different descending triangle now. We do have lower slopes here with those flat bottoms still. So we tried to grab that line, did not grab that line, so you can put that there. Descending triangles are a descending pattern that does break you down. Remember, not all descending patterns do. We do cover those in the Mastering the Trade series. This could break that 31,954 if we are not careful. Money flow is pulling back as VWAP wants to pull back as well. If our VWAP pulls back, momentum will gain bearish momentum and that money flow will start to break down. Stochastic is trying to push forward, but we're starting to curl. If we curl and break away from this 30 area, we will see the stochastic remain bearish, RSI will start to push under, and then price action will start to lose some strength. So I would exercise caution there. Over on this 4 hour, we did try to break away from this channel, and then we are pulling back toward it, so that's why we did draw another descending triangle here. Stochastic does want to push down, we have bearish divergence, RSI wants to weaken, VWAP is favoring the bearish territory, and the money flow does want to pull back. If our VWAP continues to favor bearish here, we will see momentum continue to weaken, and the money flow will continue to weaken as a result. So if we do see that pullback, the bears can still gain some control here. The 2 hour does want to pull back with RSI and stochastic. VWAP is struggling, money flow is bullish, but it's not very strong, and the momentum is favoring more toward the bearish territory. If our VWAP fails to get a consistent high, and then we get these weak lows, we could see the bears ultimately gain control and push us under, so I would exercise caution here. Our RSI in the 1 hour is starting to push away, stochastic wants to round away, VWAP is getting lower highs and wants to break down, and our money flow is starting to push down as that momentum is pulling back. If that VWAP continues to pull back, momentum will pull back, and our money flow could then break to the bearish side and make price action slide. Over on Ankr for the daily, we are trying to break this value area high, but we are struggling to hold above it. If we continue to see red candles here, we likely will push to the point of control and start a breakdown. VWAP does want to round, stochastic is pushing forward, but does look like it could start to round. Our momentum will continue to round, then our money flow will start to weaken. RSI is going flat, so I would exercise caution, watch those lower time frames closely. Over on this 4 hour, we could be making a descending triangle here as well. A descending triangle, just like on graph, could end up pushing us down and breaking us lower. Don't know why it doesn't want to grab that when I push it the second time. A little sloppy of a descending triangle, so straighten out that bottom if you're going to draw yours. Just like this. That could give us a break at the 51, and then a push of our point control. If we do not hold that point control, then we will make a further slide. Momentum does want to pull back, RSI wants to weaken, stochastic's coming down, VWAP's favoring bearish, and the money flow is tapering off. If the VWAP continues to favor bearish here, we will see the money flow become more bearish, and we will get that breakdown. Over on our 2 hour, momentum is trying to break bearish as VWAP favors bearish, money flow is starting to taper off, so I would exercise caution. Stochastic is favoring bearish, and the RSI is starting to weaken as a result. If we do not pick up some strength here, we likely will start a push to the downside. Finally, on the 1 hour here, we do have a pretty long lower shadow. If this is followed by a strong green candle, we could invalidate this descending triangle possibility. However, if it's followed by further red candles, we likely will fill this wick and push lower. RSI is overall weakening, stochastic wants to round away, VWAP is pushing down, money flow is starting to weaken, and momentum is falling back. If our VWAP does not cross to the bullish territory, we likely will see further losses and continue to push down here. Over on XRP for the daily, we did have our rising triangle possibility, and we broke down with a manipulation X invalidating it. So again, if you were in that Discord and you saw Bitcoin wasn't going to make its move, that could have been a warning for you that XRP may not have made its move as well. This manipulation X, if we follow this with another strong red candle, could create a rounding top here that could then push us to our value area low. VWAP is breaking bearish, RSI wants to weaken, Stochastic wants to round, money flow is indecisive, it does want to pull back, so if that VWAP continues to weaken, momentum will pull back, and that money flow will continue to weaken as well. Over on this 4 hour, we are breaking several EMAs, trying to bounce off this 300 EMA. If we lose this 300 EMA, we likely will see that bearish flip. Our RSI is starting to weaken, Stochastic's pretty beat down, VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum's pulling back, money flows in the bearish territory, so if our VWAP rejects this neutral, remains in bearish, momentum will continue down, and the money flow likely will continue to push down as well, leading price action lower. Over on our 2 hour, we did break that 300 EMA, and we are pushing below our lower EMA as well. If we continue to slide here, that could set precedent for the 4 hour to slide as well. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is weakening, VWAP did break bullish, but we're starting to pull back. Money flow is heavy in the bearish territory, and the money flow, while it is bullish, is starting to weaken, so I would exercise caution. At best, this could be a descending channel that would push us up. Remember, descending channels are bullish patterns. So that push up, roughly, we don't really have another touch to the bottom, so we could see some further losses before we see gains. That could try to push us back toward that 300 EMA and try to flip it. If we can push toward the 300 EMA and flip it after losing it, that will be positive. However, if we push that EMA and reject it, we likely will see further losses, pushing down toward that value area low. Over on our 1 hour, we are seeing a pretty solid rejection here. Stochastic does want to round, orange is above blue, so that could end up bringing our RSI lower. VWAP does want to pull back, momentum is pulling back with a red dot, so if our VWAP breaks down, money flow will remain bearish, and we likely will see a further slide. If that money flow remains bearish, we could invalidate this bullish pattern. So watch out for that invalidation. Remember, no pattern is 100%. Over on Algo for the daily, we did hit our resistance area and we did pull back, so we did not confirm above that resistance area. Stochastic does want to round, RSI wants to weaken, VWAP is tapering off, momentum is a little indecisive, and the money flow is losing some strength. If our VWAP continues to weaken on the lower time frames, we likely will start a push to the downside. This 4 hour has a bearish engulfing candle, and we are starting to reject EMAs. If this continues, we likely will push down. Stochastic is starting to weaken, RSI is weakening, momentum's pulling back, VWAP is getting lower lows, favoring bearish territory, so I would exercise caution. We don't look too positive there. Over on our 2 hour, we had a double top that did end up dropping us down. We now have a bear flag possibility that could try to push us right around that 25 cents. If that bear flag pushes us to that 25 cents and we do not hold that area, we could see some further losses. VWAP is favoring bearish here. We have lower lows and we are trying to round for slightly lower highs below our neutral. If we confirm those lower highs, we could see further losses. Money flow does want to weaken, momentum's in the bearish territory, and the RSI could start to slide here. Finally, on our 1 hour, Stochastic does want to round, RSI is tapering off, VWAP's getting lower highs. If we break this neutral and get consistent lows, momentum will favor bearish, and our money flow could break bearish as well. If we see the 1 hour break bearish, we likely could see the higher time frames start to break down as well. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night.